be under the interpretation of it's not a baby yet, but then I thought about it, and yeah, it definitely, I was wrong in that regard. It definitely is. It's definitely killing a baby. That's 100% what you're doing. The one I've heard a lot was that it's not life, and for a while I used to agree with it until I learned yes, it definitely is. Like, there's no way of getting around it. You're 100% just killing kids.
Well,
which we do anyway, and it's no less fucked up than it is when you kill an innocent man or put an innocent man in jail. It's just one of those fucked up things our society condones because it's easier not to fight people on it.
let's be honest here for a moment. Depending on how far along in the pregnancy you are, you're not really killing a kid.
Jen, they're coming from behind you.
It's still a baby, man. Like, if it's like you're,
I want to.
If the end result is like, if the end result, like an analogy I heard from a comedian, if there's a cake in an oven and it's only been in there for like 3 minutes, if you take that cake out and throw it across the fucking floor, did you or did you not just destroy the cake?
It wasn't a cake yet.
You destroyed the cake, dude.
That was about to be and isn't the same thing. I can shoot someone, or I can shoot someone.
That's not hang on. That's not a comparable situation.
Neither is a cake and a baby.
Yeah, but once they're closer to each other because they're still developing. No. There's still processes. They're still being developed in a process.
Okay, but like, if you have all the ingredients in a bowl, getting ready to put it in the oven to bake it, at that point it's just a bunch of ingredients.
Yeah, like you
that
can
become
literally
a fucking cake is the point.
Yeah, but it has to go through the process to be a cake. It's not you have the ingredients in a cake. Like eggs, like when you fuck a bitch, you can get sperm to an egg and it can fertilize that egg, but that still doesn't mean it's going to result in a pregnancy.
By that logic, if it's the potential to become a baby is, just jerking off and killing the sperm, not the same?
It's not.
Because it's the potential to make a baby.
It's not because of the stages of development. Like, if it's something that's already mixed and just developing.
If that were the logic you went with, Justin, on that one, then you'd also have to you'd have to go through with every female getting fucking jailed for having a period.
I was also about to say that.
Like, you can't, like, dude,
so like
you can't just, like, if that's the case, just using an egg for everything other than baking a cake is murdering eggs at that point.
All right. Once you mix the shit together, then it has the potential to become an insert thing here.
Yeah, but just because it has the potential doesn't mean
the way I look at it,
it doesn't matter how you look at it. It's what it is or isn't.
Shut for a second.
That guy might be down, Jen. I threw a grenade over there.
Clump of cells. Every single person on the fucking planet is made of cells. We're all clumps of cells. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, but the difference there is, we're actually fucking sentient. We're here. We
didn't fucking think.
Dude, but that's the thing. That's still developing life. It is either way. It is developing life. Like, it's killing babies. That's what it is.
It really depends on what point it's at.
I honestly don't think that's the case. Like, at any point in time, it's still going to be a baby if left.
If the egg gets fertilized, but it actually doesn't go all the way, a baby just died.
Yeah, that's why people cry over miscarriages.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, you can literally bust in a bitch and the sperm gets the egg, but that doesn't mean the whole process of pregnancy is going to happen.
Then that was never a developing baby. That was never going to happen. An abortion.
Well, no, that's not necessarily. But see, that's what I'm saying though. Is it had everything it needed? It just didn't go far enough in the process to actually become a baby. Just because you have everything there doesn't mean it's a baby. That's why, like, the whole cake thing doesn't make sense.
For an abortion to even happen, it would have to be at a certain point.
Yes, but what I'm
saying is... For you to even know that you're pregnant, you'd have to have something there.
That's not necessarily true. You can get an abortion at any time after pregnancy. Once the egg and sperm fertilize each other, you can get a abortion like the day of. You have to removing the fertilized egg.
I actually did not know that. Thank you, Justin.
I didn't either, but still. Well,
You're probably not a tactic, but
that's still a baby though.
It's
Still
not
becoming
though.
a baby.
It's
It
not
is.
though. It's not though.
It is.
This is literally the exact same argument that people are using to try and say if you fertilize an egg, like in vitro fertilization, if you fertilize 4 embryos, that you have to use all 4 of those embryos.
I'm gonna go eat probably.
okay.
Alright.
What?
So, okay, you know what in vitro fertilization is, right?
Not really. No.
Okay,
Bye,
so
guys.
they take an egg,
Bye.
they
Good
take
night.
an egg
Good
and they
night.
inject it with sperm to fertilize it, and then they put the egg back into the mother or whoever it's going to go into, so that she can become pregnant and have a baby. In one of the states, I forget which one, they're trying to pass a law saying that since it's fertilized, they normally take multiple of them because you have the best chance to get one that's like going to actually result in a pregnancy that way. So let's say they take 4 and they decide that the third one's going to be like the one that has the best chance of actually being carried to term. They're trying to pass a law saying that you have to use all 4 of them because they're now all 4 lives. But they're not all 4 lives.
No.
They're
That's
just fertilized
that's,
eggs. Well, no,
honestly-
that's the exact same thing that's happening inside a woman though that you just said was a baby.
Yeah, but the point being that it's inside a woman. I think that
No. You can't take that. You can't make that distinction because that is the exact same thing that's in a woman. That is the exact same thing that's in a woman. Now the only
I can
difference is
definitely make that. I can.
you
Definitely
can't
make
though.
that
You can't though.
distinction,
You can't though.
'Cause, like, it's
Because
not-
by your logic,
The-
all
one is
4
a
of
pro-
them
one
are
is a-
children.
yes, you can because one is a scientific process. The other is an act. The other is just a sexual act. There's definitely a difference of.
Yes, but they
not
both
just personal
result in the
responsibility,
same
also.
thing. They both result in the exact same thing. You can't
They do,
say
but they
you
don't
can't
happen in
say
the same
just
way.
because I put my that doesn't matter. I can literally shoot you or stab you. You'll die both ways.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because they both result in the same thing. Whether you're getting fucked
Yes, but they're
or
both
someone-
different processes. A singular
No.
action is.
No, they're not. There's literally a egg getting injected with a sperm and then being carried to term in a woman.
The carried to term is what we're disagreeing with. You believe that in that process it's not an infant.
No.
Whereas-
You just told me. You just told me that those are 2 different things. That the ones being in vitro fertilization aren't babies, but they are babies.
I guess by that
By your logic,
by that
by your
definition,
logic,
they are.
they are babies. Yeah.
I suppose they are.
But they're not.
Still be considered. They're fertilized eggs, dude.
Yeah, but they're not babies. They're not
They're
live.
They're what become babies though.
So is sperm. You know how many children you've killed? Literally billions. Literally billions. You are literally worse than Hitler.
Sperm is what becomes sperm. Hang on. Sperm, I think that point past the point of fertilization is when it's at that development stage. Like we already talked about that one. Like sperm and just a bitch being on her period, those aren't the same. All right, they aren't
Well, of
the
course
same.
not.
Like
One's
is
sperm and one's
what is
just
it?
on a period.
Look, fucker, I don't mean literally. But you know what the fuck I mean. Damn it, don't act like you don't.
I mean,
I think once that process is started, to not call them at least a fetus, which is what becomes a baby, would just be disingenuous.
I
Like,
honestly think
you can make yourself feel better about murdering a child all you want. That's still what abortion effectively is. Like
but it's not murdering. Depending on what stage you're
It
in, it's not
definitely
murdering a
fucking
child.
is.
It's not. For something to be able to be considered a life, it would have to be able to survive outside of the mother. Like, when I say that, I don't mean like if you're born premature and you have to go into incubator. That's perfectly fine. I consider that a life. But
why make that distinction though?
Because it can still live. If you go and get an abortion 3 weeks into your pregnancy, there's no amount of medical science that's going to help that thing live, because it's not even like formed a full body yet, I don't think.
Yeah, but that's still a developing life, is the point.
Not really, though. Like, literally, it
Yes, the fuck it is. It is literally what it is. It is literally what it is. A life in its earliest stages of development.
But what is your definition? Like, what makes something
a
living?
life? Yeah.
Being alive, developing its
but
own
it,
heart,
yeah, that's it. Doesn't. It's not alive.
Regardless of its consciousness, regardless of its conscience and awareness of the world, it is still what it is.
But it's not alive.
What was the definition of a life?
It is a life. Dude.
Like what makes you consider something to be
alive? It is
alive?
a life. It is a life in it's a life in its most parasitic state, you could say. Because it is a developing life that requires the mother to survive. Now, I'm not going to talk about whether or not it's right or wrong. I'm just calling it for what I see it.
Does it even have a heartbeat?
I see it as murder.
No. I forgot what point it develops a heartbeat. It doesn't develop a heartbeat or brain.
As something starts to develop independent movement and just.
But it's not. It doesn't have independent movement at 3 weeks either. Like that's what we're saying. Is you're arguing that it's alive because it has independent movement. It has a heart. It doesn't have any of that yet.
No. You're generalizing my statement. You're generalizing my statement.
You literally said it.
I know what I just fucking said.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't mean that's my whole argument, man. Shit. What I'm trying to say.
Well, then make your whole argument.
God damn. I did multiple times. It's a developing life. The point is, it is life in development. But it's not alive yet. It fucking is.
It's not.
Yes, the fuck it is. For it to be developing at all, it would require some state of being alive.
A heartbeat is not seen in a fetus until 7 weeks, and a brain
Stop
does not
specifying heartbeat.
Develop until 9.
Stop specifying one specific part of a process that requires that's required to become alive.
That is a general argument of when a baby is considered to be alive. Most people are like, well, it has a heart.
That's literally why we had a restriction that said if they hear a heartbeat, you can't abort it, because it was considered to be alive at that point.
That's what people say, and that's fine and fucking dandy. I still think that if you kill a pregnant woman, is it not said that you killed the woman and the baby?
It normally depends on like if the baby is considered alive or not, and by the law, that is if it has a heartbeat.
Which I still disagree with personally.
I fucking disagree, dude. I think that regardless of whether or not it has a heartbeat, it's still a developing life. That's still a life being developed, man. Like that doesn't make it
just
any less,
because it's something
make it any less
being
alive.
Developed.
For it to even be developed, it would need some semblance of blood, some semblance of life. Like, sure, it's a developing life, but that's still, in essence, a life, or something that's becoming a life.
But that's the argument. It's not at that point. It
is though, dude.
Regardless
of its point of development, it is still a life in different stages of development.
Your point was
just because it doesn't have a heartbeat at the time doesn't mean it's not fucking alive, man. If regardless of what state it's in, if you keep the let's say the mother just dies, if you somehow hook her up to some kind of weird Frankenstein ass shit, do you think that kid would still have a chance of survival or not?
No.
Neither the fuck do I. So basically, you killed the mother.
But you need to come up with something that specifies how it's fucking alive, because if you don't, then
why? It is a developing fucking kid, but dude, that doesn't seem like I genuinely don't see where I'm losing you on this, because I'm making my point pretty fucking clear. Regardless of the state of its heart, the state of its brain, or even if it has fucking limbs, it is still a developing life.
But no, it's not though, because it's
Yes,
not.
the fuck it is, dude. At what point does it just become alive then?
When it's alive, when it
is
has a heartbeat, when it has a brain.
I personally say when it's born.
Literally, if it's born without a heartbeat or without a brain, it's literally called being born dead. It's not even classified as being alive if it's born like that. So you can't say it's alive for the purpose of this and then dead for the purpose of this. If it doesn't have a heartbeat, if it doesn't
when
have
it isn't
brain,
in a state of when it isn't in a state when it hasn't been
I'm
born
dead.
yet, that doesn't.
Go ahead.
If it hasn't
Sorry.
been born yet, how the fuck can you say that it is or isn't alive? Like if it's in a state of development, like it's neither. It's either neither or it's alive. The way I see it.
Because you can act, because they have a point where there it's considered alive. Just like with everything, there's a point when it's considered what it is. Like, if you're building a building, it's not considered a building until it's built. It's in the process of being built, but it's not a building until it's built. A life isn't a life until it's alive.
So basically, you mean to tell me that if you go up to and destroy a building being built, you're not going to be charged for destroying a building or destruction of property?
You're going to be destroyed with. You're going to be charged with destruction of property.
What property? A building?
No, because the raw material is still considered somebody's property. It's considered owned.
Yeah, that is like.
No, but that's still fucking. I disagree, dude. I think that life in development is still life, regardless of what you when you want to consider it being alive or not. Like if something's born dead, then that's something else. But that doesn't make it not. That doesn't make it any less. That doesn't make it any less. It still has the same potential for life at the states of development that we're talking about.
No, because like in those states of development, it could not develop a brain, and it doesn't have the same potential for life. It could literally, in the stage where it's supposed to develop a brain, it could not, and then when it comes time to actually for it to be born, it's just dead. But also, I think if it doesn't develop a brain, they just abort it normally. Am I right about that, Justin?
Well, if it doesn't develop a brain, it's dead. It's not.
Yeah.
It's going to be a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Which I forget what they're classified as, but I'm pretty sure miscarriages are charted as abortions.
They are. That's why they were. That's why a lot of these states were worried about the abortion laws, because when a woman miscarriages, the baby, when it dies in her, can cause sepsis, and they were talking about a lot of the doctors were worried about going through with an abortion and a miscarriage because they might get charged. I know that was a big thing in Texas.
Yeah. Which, at that point, why is it not considered a death if it's a baby? Why is it still called a miscarriage?
Well, like, my whole thing about that is like the baby's already dead.
Some people do consider that death.
Everyone considers that death except for...
I meant in the terms of medical charting and stuff. It's considered an abortion, which means at that point it was not even at any point alive.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I would still classify that as parasitic life. Like, we even consider single cells, organisms that don't have a function past eating shit, as life. Like, yes, a developing fetus would be essentially a parasite, but that's still a form of life. Like, it's not what we as humans view as life. That's still a stage of development in life that we all had to have gone through to even be here. So to say that that's not life just seems disingenuous to me.
I see it as they're not self-sufficient or able to survive on their own.
Neither are babies.
Well, that
Not necessarily.
that one kind of depends. For me, for something to like be considered a life, it has to be able to survive outside of the host on its own. And when I say that, I don't mean like without care. I mean like if a baby was born,
that it can at least breathe on its own.
well, no, not even that, because we have stuff that can help children breathe if they're born too young. I'm talking about like being born young enough to where our technology can actually, keep them alive to the point where they can be self-sufficient. Because there's kids that fucking get born prematurely that just cannot survive with anything we have. You know, fucking ventilators and fucking what was the thing called I said earlier? Incubators. They couldn't help them because they're not fully formed. And that's the thing. For me to consider something alive, it needs to be fully
But you just
formed.
emptied that magazine. You might want to put a new one in.
What's up?